Welcome to Smart Arm Solutions. Well, we still have Karl here. We have asked our patrons if they had any questions that they would like me to ask him. And we got a little bit of a list here that Heather put together, so we're just going to jump into it. And this is what my people want to know.
Okay.
The first one, any plans on re-engineering the Mars H platform to accommodate the 277 Fury?
Not at this time. We've been working with folks at True Velocity and have put together a few rifles, and the preliminary tests and things that we have are very, very favorable. So I would look for that product to launch, the barrel anyway, to be available later this year.
Okay. Next one. Why does LMT put semi-auto bolt carrier groups in their commercial rifles?
We put semi-automatic bolt carrier groups in our commercial rifles because there's no full auto switch on the side.
Does LMT plan on expanding their suppressor lineup?
Yes.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard getting MWS uppers in the civilian market?
Right now we're suffering from our supply chain issues.
What is the ETA of the new piston-driven AR-9?
That will have to come from smarter people than me.
Okay. I know the piston lineup has suppressor-ready port settings. Will you be adding any mitigating provisions to the standard gas guns as well?
So far on the standard internal piston guns, they have been tuned for the specific ammunition that we have. So as it is now, it's just a different gas dynamic.
What was Karl's favorite guns growing up, and what is his favorite guns now?
Oh, that's a great question. That's really a very good question. So when I grew up, the blessing and curse was my father and my brother had given me a 410 shotgun, and we would go hunt upland game, pheasants and quail.
And you grew up in the Midwest.
In the Midwest, right? So I actually really loved that gun, and I hated it because you have to be absolutely on to bring down a pheasant with a 410. So if you're off a little, you're off a mile. And so that...
aim small, miss small.
Aim small, miss small, but there's not a lot of charge in that cartridge.
Okay. What's new or novel supply manufacturing constraints are you seeing following inflation and the rising cost of commodities?
Well, that's a great question. And I don't want to be a whiner, but the facts are our steel prices are doubling. Our aluminum prices are almost doubled. Resin, engineered plastics that we use with the really good additives to make them temperature resilient. It's just going up and up and up. And that's one issue. I mean, there's a cost inflationary factor, but the area that's harder for us is availability. So all of our suppliers have us on allocation. So they take an average of the past 3 years and say, we're only going to give you 20% more. That's it. That's all we're going to give. So we've had to add other suppliers. And the good news is we have found some very good ones. The bad news is we have to go through the process of having them submit first article parts, go through the dimensionals, then go through and then do some live firing testing to make sure that we did miss some little nuance on what we have manufactured or had other people supply us materials or other things to do. So we try to continue to make all of the items ourselves. We're trying to expand that base a little bit, but raw material is our biggest constraint.
Going back to when Eugene Stoner last worked with KAC on his development of the SR-25, it's been mentioned that it was a mistake to scale down the rifle to accommodate parts for the M16A2. Furthermore, in regards to the overall design of the 308 MWS system, what if it incorporated some of the design features of the original 1950s Armalite AR-10, such as, for example, enlarged buffer system? Would it have aided in terms of reliability or general felt recoil, or would it have been more problematic?
Yeah, I think the buffer system that we have now and how universal it is a good choice. At the very beginning, the negative with the other buffer system was we wouldn't have been able to use a standard extension tube. So by using a standard extension tube, it opens up the ability to use our DMR stock, and you can take it off and put the A2, put that stock on, or the SOP mod stock. Or if you have another favorite stock, you can take ours off and put somebody.
Similar with the HK417, where it stuck with the original size of the original AR-10.
Mm-hmm.
Every part is now completely proprietary.
Right.
My last one, from the recent CSAS replacement program of the KAC M110, did LMT submit a 308 MWS for the trial, and how well did it fare against the other competitors, even though the HK417 won the program?
Yeah, we did compete. We were in the final groups, a group of people competing, but we did not bring that solicitation home. So.
But this is something else that people don't know, is that you have competed in, for instance, the SAS program, the SCAR programs. You've been involved with all those. You go back to when they had the 7.62 by 39 version of the AR for SOCOM. It goes back to the SR47. You go back to that. So you've been pretty much part of every major submission that we've had for the U.S. government over the last 20 years.
Yeah, we just don't brag about our losses.
I know, but at the same point, this tells you that you are out there and you are actively competing for all these, and you're never too far behind, even when you do. But then again, we don't learn from winning all the time, right?
No, if you don't engage and stretch your wings and try to do more, you're never gonna get beyond where you're at.
If you don't actually pull the trigger, you can't hit or miss.
That's a good point. I like that one.
Well, thank you very much.
Again, thank you. And great questions from those guys and gals that wrote out to me.
Well, again, we had an awesome interview, and I want to thank you for answering these questions. As I said, my people, we talk about you and your products all the time, and I'm sure they're going to really appreciate you taking the time to answer their questions.
Yeah. Well, it's good to learn. I mean, that's one of my passions is almost to a fault, is trying to learn something new or different, either about firearms or myself. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.